Constellations bow to me!
So, today we're gonna do something, which is we're gonna be looking at the new Ionia cards, Irelia, as we can see, and we already knew that. We're gonna review them, we're gonna have like a live reaction to them, and then we're gonna review the entirety of the set. It's better that way because that way we don't have any skewered opinion about like a card that's missing an archetype, or like a card that seemed powerful, but then you see the cards and you're like, okay, no, maybe it's not that powerful. So it's better for us to just do this. Obviously, first impression is going to be a first impression. We need to play the cards and see them in action to know the actual power level. But yeah, we're going to look at Irelia now.
I dance not to forget, but to remember. Every blade,
okay, so 3 mana, 3/2, interesting. Quick attack. When I'm summoned or round start, if you have the attack token, create a flawless duet in hand. We don't know what that is. 12 plus allies of attack. Okay, so that's not a great... Like, it's kind of hard, but I guess with blades it should be fine. Doesn't seem great so far. We'll see what flawless duet do, though.
Beat in its place.
Right, okay, flawless duet. Blade dance 2, wow, okay. So... every turn you're getting 2 blades. Honestly, I thought that we were getting 1 blade per turn. I thought she was going to be a round star blade dance. But it's 1 mana for 2. Alright, and obviously for those who don't know, start a free attack with that many summoned blades. That's what blade dance does. So it's like you're getting a lot of attacks and a lot of units to attack with. Which is obviously synergy with the Azir, synergy with the Misfortune. Scouts in Demacia possibly, but I don't like that because Quinn needs to attack herself, so the blade attacks don't really... Like, you're not abusing Quinn with that fact in mind. Okay, so far it's decent.
Step, strike, left foot strike, right foot strike, turn.
Alright, yep, definitely green grade duo
Mind your
synergy.
form.
Okay,
Battle stances!
yeah.
Follow my lead!
By my hand will Noxus rise.
And by our blades will it fall.
Oh, that's a cool line. I actually really like that. So, okay. So, as I was saying, I think, like, that's why it's better to see Irelia. Yesterday we saw and thought, okay, Misfortune is going to be great. But now I'm thinking, Azir also works really like better with Irelia because every time you're blade dancing, you're summoning 1 or 2 attacking sand soldiers. That considers like that counts into Irelia, right? So yeah. So I think now it's going towards Azir. Vanguard's Edge, 7 mana slow. Oh crap. Blade dance 3, pick an ally to attack with the blades. I mean it's a 7 mana slow, right? It's always going to be too expensive. You can always kill the ally. It has to be bad. Maybe there is an abusable factor. Maybe you can syncopate, but if you syncopate, you're also selecting whatever you're syncopating. So...
Navori, formations! We dance to the drums
wow.
of war.
Wow,
that's...
that's pretty cool. Your cell is also amazing. Okay, when I'm summoned or round start, if you have the attack... Okay, so the same thing. When allies attack, create a blade surge. Alright, well, what's a blade surge? So yeah, she's a value engine. She's a value engine for aggro. That can almost always be good, I think. Need to see what blade surge is though. Oh my god. 0 cost. 0 cost swap. 2 mana syncopation was already really good. Jeez. Wow. That card is actually nuts. It's burst. It's burst, so you're doing it like every time you're attacking, you're like, okay, I can swap. Good luck blocking. It'll make blocking aggro really hard. Like, I guess the idea with Blaze is that you're attacking with crappy crappy blades, right? And you can just pull off. So like blade surge. Let me read this straight. So if you are okay, let's read Irelia again. Where is she? Okay. So when allies attack, she doesn't need to attack. So every time you blade dance, you can just swap an ally off the bench into a blade dance attack, and then you're attacking again, and you have the swap again. That's crazy. That is absolutely crazy for 0 cost. The level up is not hard. 12 allies attacking. That's very doable this year. This is terrifying. This entire deck is terrifying.
Ionia still stands!
Yeah, that's a tricky one. I would say
How long
that.
can they resist while their cities crumble?
You will never quell our spirits. Our home, our ancestors are safe once more.
Okay, well, that was something. Wow, I'm actually really. Oof. Okay, let's go into the. Let's go see if Mobilix has anything new over what we already saw. Okay, so we saw this. Okay, this is Irelia's. Oh, that's. Alright, well, sure. Anything new? Oh, lead and follow. Recall an ally to create a flawless duet in hand. Oh, really? That's not bad. This is going with the Lee Sin idea. Yeah, this is definitely going with the Lee Sin idea, which is like 2 spells. This can work with Eye of the Dragon. I don't know if you play Eye of the Dragon with this deck. I mean, you're creating spells a lot, but it doesn't want Eye of the Dragon. Like, definitely wants more aggro stuff. I guess this can find it can have some uses, I'll say that. Like 3 mana recalling something to save it and then using Blade Dance for a free attack. That can be something. But yeah, those are the new cards. Let's just review the new, like the entire set's tier list now. Let's just put them in. Alright, well, I finished organizing and I'm gonna just talk about them here. You can already see the choices. You're probably pulling your hair out of some of the choices. I'm pretty sure not everybody agrees with me in my choices, but yeah, I'm gonna start with simple, like from the bottom to like from the S tier in our hearts to the S tier. S tier in our hearts, simple. Cethria, Lady of Clouds it's a 10 mana 10/10 challenger in a deck that wants tempo. That's all I'm gonna say about that. Chip he's S tier in our hearts because I would want to put him here, but he's like he's Chip, right? Like everybody loves him. So yeah, I'm just taking those out of the rating completely because I'm not gonna rate them competitively. Cethria it's been a cool story as well, and yeah, I'm gonna just keep them. They're cool thematic cards. Maybe Chip does see play. Maybe I wouldn't say Cethria ever sees play though. D tier, Succumb to the Cold. Frostbite an enemy, summon a frozen thrall. The idea is that this is literally a more expensive flash freeze. That's not amazing. It's 4 mana, so I don't know. Spiral Stairs. This is worse than Zenith Blade. Like it enables Malphite, but it's worse than Zenith Blade. Jesus Christ, this is really hard to say. Like, but yeah, Shadows of the Past. I don't know what this card is supposed to do. It's recall synergy, but it recalls your entire board. I don't ever think that this card is amazing. Maybe I'm gonna be wrong. I don't see it. Maybe the idea is that you're recalling blades swinging into dealing surprise damage. I don't think that's ever worth it because usually you have a board to go with those blades. I don't know. Preservationist. It's very meh. Like this does what Esteemed Hierophant does for Mono Shurima, but it's 2 mana more expensive and literally 1 attack only more. And there's no other deck that like benefits that hard from this. So I don't know. Incisive Tactician is just strictly worse citrus courier. Like he needs reputation to be enabled, but he doesn't like do 5 damage himself or anything. And I mean, you don't really care because you're gonna be dropping him, right? But like, he's just very like he doesn't work like with something like Bloody Business. I don't see it. I just don't. So maybe it'll change. I don't know. Malphite is decent. Like the level up is great and everything, right? Like the unstoppable force. It is good. But getting there is the hard part. Like maybe the card that's the landmark is gonna make it easier to get there, but I don't think that makes him any higher than what he actually is, which is a 7 mana 6/10 tough or a 7 mana 7/11 tough. That doesn't do much by itself. It needs to get to that point. Stonebreaker, same reasoning. It's a 6 mana card. It comes in too late and it needs a lot of work to actually make sense. I wouldn't love this card. Yeah. Profiteer. It competes with one of the hardest regions to have 4-drops. It has Renekton, Sever, and Sandspinner. All great, all very decent, and it's supposed to take one of those places in some like decks. I don't see it happening. Maybe I'm wrong. Time in a Bottle. It's cheeky. Like you can do some things with Allegiance. I don't know if you run it with Chirima Allegiance, so maybe you're like running 8 or 9 like cards with another region and they're all predict, so you're predicting for Allegiance. You can do that. I just wouldn't see it being decent, so yeah. Chrono Shift is 7 mana. It's way too expensive to make sense in like any huge deck. Maybe I'm wrong. Like it's a decent save for some, and it's champions only, by the way. So yeah, I don't see it being that great. Imagine Possibilities. It's a 1 mana, so it's a flexible card in a way. It's only 1 mana and it's advancing a landmark 1 round. It can also make a random landmark. I don't think that you want that much. It can give you a Frozen Thrall in a non-Thrall deck, and you're sitting there like shaking your head because you didn't want it. So I don't know. Vanguard's Edge is also like you don't main deck this. You don't main deck this at all. It's a 7 mana rally in a way with blades, and it gives you 3 blades. So it's 7 mana rally that gives you 3 1/1s. I don't think you ever main deck it, so it's gonna be working with Irelia. It has decent synergy with Irelia at least, so there's that. If you have a way to not make it that easily disrupted, you can use it. Zinea Steel Crescendo. This is a slow finisher. So the idea is that this works great with blade dances, right? Like maybe if you have a way to blade dance twice and have this on board, like you can do 9 elusive damage, which is a cool idea and everything. I just don't think it's that nuts or bonkers. Like first off, you can hush this and the entire idea of Zinea is gone, which is you attack multiple times with an elusive. It's gone. Or you can just take 3 and do an Equinox. And it's a 8 mana 3/5 that dealt 3. It's just not great. Now for the beat here, now for the actual start of good cards. And why I'm going to say that they're good. Soothsayer is decent. Like it's very high potential. Like maybe we're overrating the card. That's what I'm worried about. That's why it's not 8 here. It's very high value for what it does. Like in the right deck, it's protecting a landmark and protecting a champion for 2 mana and giving you a 1/4 body in the process. But you can say that it's like a focus speed spell shield. So that's not great for like units, I would say. Also, not to mention that spell shields don't protect units from just dying. Like Bastion gives you stats, so sometimes it does save you. But that's the problem with giving spell shield. Like you can just still get challenged and die. The good thing, though, that makes it actually potentially really good, and it depends on the meta, of course, is how good Mono Shurima will be. So protecting Sundisk is nuts, and why spell shield on landmarks matters more than units. Well, I'm gonna say why now, is because you can't challenge a landmark. That's one thing that you can do. So you need to, if you do want to remove that landmark, or multiple landmarks for all I know, is that you have to destroy, like, you have to kill the spell shield and with a landmark kill spell, and then kill the landmark again with another. Like, it makes removing landmarks much more costly, and that can take down a tempo deck, or or slow the tempo down enough to a point that you care, or give you more tempo by making a control deck commit too much to a landmark. And that's good in Monarch Arena because you can just go for Renekton and Azir's regular level ups and play for just regular tempo with decent cards. And because, like, you made them commit so much to remove Sundisk, you're already ahead. So yeah, Soothsayer can be insane. But it still can be very meh. So Bone Skewer. Bone Skewer is something that I overlooked at the beginning. I thought it was not that great because it was a 2 mana guaranteed 2 for 1. Like, you're using 2 cards to remove something. But then someone smart actually pointed out that you can use this with sea monsters. And then I started thinking about it more, and I'm like, okay, this card can actually be really, really good in sea monsters. They thought of Deadbloom Wanderer uses, they thought of Devourer uses, but I actually thought of something that would actually make running into sea monsters much more annoying. And that is, like, the moment you're thinking with sea monsters, like, okay, they have 1 Nautilus in hand, they're dropping Nautilus on 7. If you're a control deck and you're trying to get over them, right? Say with dragons or something. You just load up a Comet or Concerted with, like, fat dragons of yourself or something, and you kill the Nautilus on the drop. But now Bone Skewer does what? Like, you just float 2 mana, right? You drop Nautilus, they go for a heavy, expensive card or removal, and all you do is just play a 2 mana, deal 13 to something on board. Next draw is a Nautilus. That's if they can make, like, 2 mana, deal 13 to a unit, your next draw is Nautilus. Like, that would be bonkers, right? Like, that's what Bone Skewer does. Like, you're killing something for 2 mana, and you're getting Nautilus again next turn, and they already wasted their removal. So yeah, this card is going to be actually insane in sea monsters. Coastal Defender. So the reason I rate this card so highly is only because of Syncopation and Irelia's level up spell. This card can get out of hand really quickly. Like, it's a 2 mana. All it needs is to see 2 blades, and it's a 6/6. A 6/6 is hard to take down for starters, and it hits hard too. For 2 blades is nothing. You can do this by turn 3 or 4. Like, with his existence, you can just play the card that's the recall, like on the droplet or something. You draw 1, and then you play the Blade Dance, and he sees them existing. So this card is actually insane. Like, with Syncopation, this can easily get in really big turns to a 10 attack or 12 attack very, very easily. Adaptatron. Adaptatron, in my opinion, is actually really, really good for Heimer. So the idea of sharing keywords, this doesn't only gain the keywords of Heimerdinger, it also sends the keywords back. So say, if you give this a keyword, if you give it some perks map, and you summon a tech, which you will if you had Heimer, because you get the 2/1 tough as well. So all your, like, just Adaptatron and a fearsome 3/1 that you get from a 3 cost, you play some perks map, you get a 2/1 tough in hand, you play that 2/1 tough, and suddenly all of them, including the 1/3, are tough, fearsome, and elusive. And that's like resilient elusives. That's scary. That's scary because they don't die on the spot. Adaptatron is a 1/3 tough now. That's not easy to kill either. You need 4 damage to kill through him. And you have PNZ and potentially another region protecting Heimer and Adaptatron, and it's a 1 mana. It's only a 1 mana, so you're committing that much removal for a 1 mana unit. You need to keep that in mind, right? So yeah, I do think this card is actually gonna make Heimer decent, like if some people do build it correctly, but it can easily be too slow. Kyrian Sunperker. So Kyrian Sunperker is actually okay. Like, you can run it in a The idea of summoning another Kyrian Stormbreaker, it's not that easy because you can easily just kill the first one. A 1/2 elusive is killable. But if it does, like if you just sit around and watch it, it can easily kill you very, very quickly. You run this with Shadow Isles, say, and Boom Kururuki and Doom Beast, and a copy engine like Stalking Shadows, Fading Memories, Iterative Improvement, you're done. This is absolute, like, it's very fast burn, right? It can easily get out of hand. But again, you can just remove the first one, and Stormbreaker is not a huge deal, right? It's just a slower burn than most other decks, and you can easily beat that at that point, right? Okay, Blossoming Blade. So this is a 4 mana card. 4 mana. For 4 mana, you get the Blade Dance too. I think it's decent. I do think that it's decent. Same with Ribbon Dancer. I actually don't know. Like, both of them are they're good with Irelia, right? I just don't know how. Like, maybe they do too little for their cost. Like 2 mana, a 2/1, and a 1/1 that's gonna die by just doing an attack. It's just 1 out of 12 for Irelia. Maybe it's too slow. Maybe they're too slow. We're gonna see. Thrashing Snapper. When an enemy blocks me, give me +3/+0. So this card is actually, I do think that it's really good because it can never downtrade. It can never like get chump blocked by. It's for starters, it's 1 mana, so you're not losing that much mana cost or just like tempo, or like you're not down by much mana, and any unit that trades into it except for like 6 health units will die to it, right? And if you're not like doing anything, it's just gonna deal 2 every turn, which is still decent. So I do think that this is a good card by itself. It's gonna give people Dilemma at the beginning of the set, and that can easily be good. Earth Elemental. Okay, so this card, it's a 4 mana 6/5 Overwhelm, right? It's very potentially strong, but it does need enablers. It depends on how good Malphite will be, because it's a 3/5 Overwhelm regardless. 4 mana 3/5 is not horrible. It is understated, I do think. I mean, is it understated? 3/5 is decent. And it becomes a 6/5 once you play landmarks. So, yeah, I do think that this card is good. Lead and Follow. This can actually be decent. It's a 2 mana recall, right? Recalling an ally is not it's meh, but it does give you a Blade Dance that you have to use at the same turn, obviously. But it gives you, like, you can use this on a blade in battle to get another Blade Dance, right? You can use this really quickly to get another attack token, basically. So it can potentially be really good. Buried in Ice. Maybe I'm overrating this card, but I mean, I'm putting it at the bottom of the B tier. I would say that's just a fair thing to do. Like, it is a decent way to get out of Shadow Isles, obviously. You don't have to stick to Shadow Isles for fairly or control decks. So that's potentially decent. That can make for some good decks. We're gonna see. Ground Slam. This card is, like, everybody's so rating this card very highly, but I mean, it's a 4 mana stun that deals 3. It's decent, and it needs of course, a landmark to be played, but that's not that hard. But I don't know. I do think it's okay, but it's not that crazy. I don't know if you like main deck it in other decks than Malphite. I just don't see it. Maybe I'm wrong. Rockfall Path. Rockfall Path is okay. Like, it's a decent card. It's a 2 mana. It's very low committal. It does come down with a delay, right? It is delayed for its for what it tries to do. So like you can use this with board wipes, but I mean, say you are trying to play this with Ravine. You need to play Ravine on the left and Rockfall on the right for that idea to work. So I don't know. I don't think this card is amazing, but it will just be a 2 mana obliterate something, which is not bad. But yeah, I would actually, okay, so I'm gonna do a change right now. The idea is that Clockhand was the bottom of tier B, but I would actually say it's just the top of tier C. I'm gonna review it again. Not the entire tier, but I'm gonna just say what clock hand, why the reasoning is for me. People are saying this is a 4-7-8 cost. It's terrible, right? But here's what I'm thinking. So if you're ever out of Ascended's Rise, which you should be, the new set, I will explain why when I review Monoshirima. You're at turn 8. If you didn't do anything for your landmark, for your sun disk, you're at 17 count, right? You drop clock hand, advance by 8, now it's at 9. All you need to do for that is just have a developed Azir either after clock hand or before clock hand. He drops and takes that down to sun disk. So at 8, almost guaranteed, you're gonna be in Ascended, right? So you can use Azir at that point. Now obviously, maybe turn 8 is too slow, possibly, but you're not only depending on clock hand, right? You're not only just waiting for clock hand to enable your sun disk. You can just like play the deck normally and level Renekton and Azir, obviously, and you can also run some of the cheap, somewhat decent value advancers. Hierophant is nice. It's a 3 mana 3/4 that does advance by 3, which will help your like landmark actually advance. Maybe you do play some of the spells too. I mean, we'll see what a deck build looks like. It's gonna have to take a lot of work though, right? Because it's a very hard archetype to just actually make decent. Okay, now we get to the A tier, which is I would say the best cards this set. Obviously, other than the two which are literally busted. I'm gonna get to that too. Dancing Droplet, a 1 mana that doesn't even require mana, it just turns 1 unit mana into 1 spell mana. That's 1/1 elusive. That is also recall synergy. So this would bleed and follow or with the monastery. I don't know if you ever played the monastery, but like anything that recalls would love this. Homecoming just gives you a card. Homecoming just gives you a card. Like, it's as simple as that. You use this with Homecoming, you're drawing a card, and you're removing a unit, which is 4 mana will, effectively. So yeah, I do think that this is just a decent card. Solari Sunhawk. So this card is just, in my opinion, in my honest opinion, I just don't know if it's true or not, but this is just better Arachnoid Sentry. Like, it's a 2 mana Sentry with limitations, if you want to say. Like, it's the same stats, basically, just swapped around, which is arguably better in some cases. It's not a fearsome blocker, for an example, but it's decent. And like, the fact that you're almost always on curve, or like just early anyways, playing the Sentry to slow down the strongest attacker anyways, that's what Sunhawk does, right? It's a 2 mana 2/3 that stuns you. That's great. That's great. Like, it's just great value, right? Same for Scrying Sands, which is, in my opinion, really underrated. For combat, it's an Elixir of Iron, like in a combat, it's Elixir of Iron that also manages to be a predict. So it's not only just a 1 mana -2 to the opponent's attack, which can also be used for like something like Swain to get a fearsome attack, or just for fearsomes in general. You're also improving your next draw for 1 mana at burst speed. That's really good. That's just like, it's not focuser, it's just burst speed. So it's a good card. Now into Irelia and Zilean, which I do think are similar in the case that they are engine. Irelia is closer to Azir, I would say, but it is an engine card. Like, it is giving you free cards every turn and every attack when it's leveled. It's actually crazy. But yeah, Irelia and Zilean. So for starters, Irelia I think will be actually very good. I think it will have a tiered deck. For Blade Dance, I think Blade Dance would actually be good. Maybe I'm wrong, but maybe something like Scargrounds just doesn't care about all the blades and just blocks them all with Tough. That's a possibility. But I do think that Irelia Azir, for an example, is actually, like, leveling her up is not that hard in an Azir deck. Attacking with 12 allies, if you Blade Dance with 2, and you have Emperor's Die and Azir in hand, That's 4 allies attacking. And then you have an attack, which then, like if you have Azir and he's summoning 2 more Sand Soldiers, you have Irelia or just another unit. That's already like 8, 7 or 8. So it is at the same speed, I would say, as Azir Lucian. But I mean, you can actually just compare Irelia to Lucian, right? But Lucian only just gives you like striking power, right? Like through rallying and having a double attack unit. Irelia just gives you ways to hit the Nexus, actually hit the Nexus. Like you can just chump block Lucian, right? Like you are like losing down on value and everything. But you can easily, like with Irelia, you can actually swap with like a weak blade and actually strike the Nexus. So I do think that Irelia Azir is actually very, very potentially strong. Now for Zillion I just think is absolutely pure value. I think this card is a great control card when you think about it. It's a 2 mana, 1/4 that also predicts the deck and adds good cards to your deck. I think the move with Zillion is not playing him committally. Like you're not, oh, I'm gonna find all the time bombs, I'm gonna save Zillion. Of course you play to like not make him die, right? It's like if you do level him, he's crazy. But the idea that you're playing a unit that gives you a good effect to your deck and improving your next draw right away, it's very decent. I do think that he will fit really well with Swain. I wouldn't talk much about it, but I do think that he will fit really well with Swain. And I'm gonna showcase it in the deck that I'm gonna be making for them. But yeah, Wings in the Wave. So here's the thing. I think Wings in the Wave is a really good card in the idea that it will make for a actually very different package of Thresh. So the thing is, like, the reason Thresh Nasus is very successful and very strong right now is that it is all in on the Thresh package, which decreases bricks and has a lot of draw and all of that. And it doesn't come with a big downside because Nasus is actually just loving all of that, right? Like, there is no downside to running both together and just committing to the Thresh package at all, almost. What Wings in the Wave does is that it is 2 parts of the 2 parts of the Thresh package in one card. It is the killed and the killer at the same time, and that's... Why is that good? That's good because sometimes you don't want to be in an all-in Thresh package. You want to run a tight package that doesn't break that often, that would benefit from running Thresh, like something like, well, the deck that I'm running right now, which is Thresh Aurelion Soul. This will be decent, not decent, this will be great in it. Because so many times you're just drawing all the fading icons and you're like, okay, well, what do I do with this? Or you're drawing all the Blighted Caretakers. Wings in the Wave just stops that. If you draw 2 Wings in the Wave, you're killing one of them with the other one. Or if you draw fading icons with Wings in the Wave, you can just kill the prey. Or if you're drawing Wings in the Wave with Blighted Caretaker, you're just killing the Wings in the Wave with Caretaker. It's really, really good for unbricking. And it's 1 mana, it's non-committal. I do think that this card is actually great. Eye of the Rahurak. Rahurak is actually really decent in the fact that this card alone is making Malphite seem viable and playable. It's just that good. It's 10 out of 12 for Malphite. It's a strong effect. Like stunning 2 enemies twice in a row, that's Mind Splitter for 2 turns. Without the body, obviously. But it's also landmark synergy. So I do think that this card is just strong enough to be the only, well, I mean, not the only one. Actually, not gonna lie, yeah, Sunhawk is also there, so maybe Solari's like Daybreaks actually got enough cards to be strong this meta. Yeah, we'll see. Maybe Leona just got enough of a buff. It's possible. Blue Sentinel. Okay, so here's the thing. People are underrating the crap out of this card. They're like, okay, well, it's a 2/3 that is sort of hard to enable. That only gives you 1 mana for 1 turn. Why is that a bad thing? It's not understated for its effect. It's like 2/3 for 2 mana. That's like a vanilla stat line alongside 3/2. And it gives you a free mana gem whenever it dies. On almost every turn after Blue Sentinel, that is good. You play him turn 2, you have 4 mana on 3 if he dies. He dies turn 3, you can play Thresh on turn 4. Hint at what I'm gonna do with it. You can, like, whenever you, like, cheating a unit out slightly earlier is always good. That's why Moonsilver, like, that's why you pick Moonsilver sometimes, because even if it's a -1 to your hand, you're basically saying 1 mana, give me 1 mana jump. That's actually sometimes just good. Blue Sentinel gives you that for free. So I think this is a really good card. I think this is actually A tier. Ardent Tracker. Now, I wouldn't say Ardent Tracker alone makes Jarvan elites, like Allegiance or anything, makes it straight up good. But, I mean, think of it this way. You're running an elites deck, you summoned a few elites, and you have a 1 mana 3/5 Scout Elite in hand. That's strong. That is strong. There is no denying that is actually strong. And I think it's another elite unit that you can just main deck and not be ashamed that you are, because some of the elites are just shameful. Like Vanguard Squire is a 4 mana 3/3. Like a 5 mana 3/5 Scout is not even like horribly understated that much. It is, like, you don't want to play it when it's 5, obviously. But a 4 mana 3/5 Scout is already good. 3 mana 3/3 is decent too, but 4 mana 3/5 is better, arguably. And it's a scout effect, so it works with Cataclysm, which Jarvan wants, and he's an elite, also, which Jarvan wants. So, like, you can just run it in an elite deck. So it actually, like, the fact that one card is, like, making people rethink of elites as a deck, yeah, that's a strong card. Harpoon is also a card that I think people are underrating. 6 mana deal 5 is... It's okay, right? Like, if it was a 6 mana deal 5, it would have been okay. Well, it's a card that you can run. But the fact that you can make it a 3 mana deal 5 now, like, that's easier to enable. The fact that also, by the way, like, compare this card to a Black Spear. Black Spear is a 3 mana deal 4. That needs an enabler, right? If you don't have an enabler for Black Spear, it's dead in your hand. It's just dead in your hand. Like, you can't deal any damage with it. In a pinch, Monster Harpoon can be just a playable 6 mana deal 5. Like, say they drop, I don't know, something with 5 health. Say they drop something with 5 health, and you don't have an enabler for Plunder, but if you do this, you're great, because it says such an important unit that they just played. You can just do this. You can do it. You're not gonna be like, oh crap, I can't play this. No, you can. That's the best part about Harpoon. And enabling Plunders, by the way, in Bilgewater is not even a hard task, so you can play it as a 3 mana deal 5 a lot of the time. And then it will feel really great. 5 is a great reach target. So yeah, I do think this card belongs in the A tier. Now let's get to the final 2 cards, the 2 broken cards, that I feel like unarguably just insane. Merciless Hunter is just a 3 mana 4/3 fearsome. So why is this, compared to Callista, good? So here's the thing. Callista needs this champ slot. Her level up is it's not great. And you can just block her. Now what does Merciless Hunter do? First off, it's not the main unit that you're, like, attacking with. It's not your scare card, the scare effect. The scare effect is that you can, it's a better challenger. So the idea with granting an enemy vulnerable is that you're not, like, challenging with that unit only, you're challenging with other units. Like, you can argue and say, okay, challengers can change effects after you play them. Maybe they do a Bright Steel Protector and whatever, you just granted vulnerable. But still, that's a specific situation. Instead, Merciless Hunter is just making another unit challenge for you. Or itself, like, it still can challenge itself. And it's still highly statted for its stat line, and it curves really well into Renekton, and it's a permanent vulnerable. You don't even need to grant the vulnerable and do it on that turn. It's a really strong card. It's better than Sand Spinner. Like, it's literally 1 attack difference. It's fearsome. Sand Spinner isn't. And it does exactly what Sand Spinner did, except maybe the minus attack, but that's, like, you don't really care about that, right? It's a really good card. And then we come to Syncopation. So Syncopation is... yeah, Syncopation is Syncopation. Syncopation is a freaking nuts card. Like, this with Coastal Defender or Inspiring Marshal Well, I mean, not Inspiring Martial. Inspiring Martial is gonna make your entire board. But like with Green Glade Duo, if it's blocked, or with Sparring Student, if it's blocked, like with any unit, it can just do damage with it, or you can just save. Like, here's the thing: it's not only an offensive tool, right? Like, here's the thing: the opponent can like do damage or challenge your unit, and you can just swap out of a challenge. I think you can swap out. I heard some people saying that you can't. I think you can, but you can swap out of combat trick. You can swap out of a vengeance. You can swap out of a removal. You can swap out of a block. It's very flexible and it's only 2 mana. So I do think that this card is bonkers as well. Yeah, I don't think I forgot any card. That's the entire tier list. If you think that I'm dumb, if you think that I rated something completely wrong, make sure to flame the crap out of me in the comments. And yeah, that's the rating. Hopefully you enjoyed it.